Welcome to the Masterworks Museum. Today you will learn about incredible monuments from the Mesa in the United States to a pre-Incan temple in Peru to the ancient capital of Thailand and the stone sculptures of Mount Rushmore. On your journey you will traverse 3,000 years of human history. In the first room of the museum, you can hear about World Heritage and how this experience was created. Then, continue on to the 4 exhibits where you will have the opportunity to amaze. Your goal will be to find and listen to audio clips from historians, archaeologists, and scientists as you unravel the mystery of who built these amazing monuments. You will also collect artifacts to other locations as you piece together the challenge these sites face today. Good luck and safe travels on your journey through history at the Masterworks Museum. Welcome to Mesa Verde National Park, located in southwestern Colorado. As you explore the site, look for artifacts and audio clips that will help you unravel the mystery of these cliff dwellings, as well as learn about the work of the National Park Service to maintain the site and the challenges they face in a rapidly changing climate.
Balcony House is one of our best examples of a bifurcated site, which means that you have a very prominent and well-defined architectural division. And so in this site we have a south courtyard and a north courtyard. And this is pretty typical of contemporary Pueblo society called moiety. The balcony is actually a common feature in these cliff dwellings, and we know that from mud lines on walls and protruding vigas from the fronts of rooms. This just happens to be one of the best preserved balconies in the park. And the balcony actually served as access to second-story rooms, and it was probably a workspace also. When we look at the walls of this room, these are what we describe as single course masonry with unshaped or semi-shaped stone. It's wet laid in mud mortar. The only perennial water sources on Mesa Verde are the springs, and typically these springs are located in the alcoves. And these springs were essential to the livelihood of the people who lived here. Otherwise, the only water would have been during rainfall events, snow in the wintertime.
Just as ancestral Pueblo people were dependent on their water sources, so are we today. What studies have shown is the people who are the most marginal suffer these effects the worst. And that's actually what we think we see as a part of the depopulation of the Mesa Verde region. That as population grew in this area, there were more people living on less productive lands, and those people would have been hurt the worst by increasing droughts in the 13th century. And we think we see those differences in people's fortunes resulting in increased conflict in the region that eventually creates other cultural problems that eventually results in, archaeologists kind of try to avoid this word sometimes, collapse, but the collapse of Mesa Verde region society, and that's
Welcome to the historic city of Ayutthaya, the ancient capital of Thailand until it was sacked by the Burmese in the 18th century and the capital moved to Bangkok. You will find artifacts and audio clips as you uncover the story of this city located at the confluence of 3 rivers and at the mercy of a rapidly changing and unpredictable climate.
Unlike the other temples, Wat Precision is a royal temple. The temple was constructed uniquely for the king and the royal family. There are no monks in the temple, but it is symbolic for the capital, for the royalty. So it is the most important temple of Ayutthaya.
เพราะว่าเสริมอีกนิดนึงว่า
Foreign records show that Ayutthaya was a water city, and people were not fearful of water and didn't care about flooding. It was described as if there was flooding. People paddled their boats. Different varieties of rice were grown and could be harvested in flood water by boat. People were skilled in living in water more than on
ต้องมา
land.
อยู่ในที่ที่ต้องจะเผชิญกับการมวลน้ำเยอะๆอะไรอย่างเงี้ยเพราะว่าเสริมอีกนิดนึงว่า
Foreign records show that Ayutthaya was a water city, and people were not fearful of water and didn't care about flooding. It was described as if there was flooding. People paddled their boats. Different varieties of rice were grown and could be harvested in flood water by boat. People were skilled in living in water more than
ต้
on
องมา
land.
อยู่ในที่ที่ต้องจะเผชิญกับการมวลน้ำเยอะๆอะไรอย่างเงี้ย ก็คือโดยหลักแล้ว
As Buddhism developed over the years, many poses of the Buddha statues were added. All the poses represent historical events during the time of the Buddha. The Prang Man Vichai pose of the Buddha statue is what we see most in Thailand. The pose shows the Buddha sitting in meditation pose with his left hand palm up on his lap and his right hand palm down over his knee and fingers pointing at the ground. This pose tells the story of a time when the Buddha was meditating and he was interrupted by Mara, or a demon. Mara told the Buddha that it was his throne that the Buddha was sitting on. The Buddha told him that it was his throne, for he had been sitting there meditating for many years. As his witness, he then called upon Patmat Tharani, or Mother Earth, by scratching the ground. Mother Earth came, and by wringing her wet hair, she created so much water that it flushed the Mara away. This is how the Buddha defeated Mara, and therefore the pose is called Prang Man Vichai, or Chana Man.
ยากเลยเนาะความอยากในใจเราอะ
Welcome to Mount Rushmore, located in the Black Hills region of South Dakota in the United States. As you explore the site, look for artifacts and audio clips as you discover the history and origin. Carved into the face of the mountain, this enormous stone sculpture features the faces of 4 U.S. presidents: Washington, who led the colonists in the Revolutionary War and helped lay the foundation for American democracy. Jefferson, who authored the Declaration of Independence and was responsible for the Louisiana Purchase. Roosevelt, the populist who led America's charge into the 20th century. And Lincoln, who freed the slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation and fought to preserve the Union during the Civil War, each of them among the country's most iconic and important. Gutzon Borglum, the brilliant nationalistic American sculptor, designed, oversaw, and with a crew of over 400, carved these faces into Mount Rushmore. The project spanned over 14 years. Coinciding as it did with the Great Depression, the memorial came to represent, for many, the hopes of a young, struggling nation, eager to be recognized on the world stage. While the monument forever changed the natural environment, and represents but a small sample of America's many heroes, the audacity of its vision and the sheer scale of its artistry continues to inspire. Welcome to the archaeological site of Chavin de Huantar, located high in the Peruvian Andes. As you explore the site, look for artifacts and audio clips as you discover the secrets of this pre-Incan civilization.
The site of Chavin, which you can see here before us, was of great importance early on in Andean archaeology, in part because it was relatively early and therefore helped establish the antiquity of Andean civilization, but also because of its art. Chavin is studded with different pieces of graphic art, including tenon heads, engraved granite plaques, and overall has more art than the average for this time period. It was one of a number of sites which appear to have been cult centers, that is, probably competing religious centers in which a series of major rituals were performed in part to attract new members to the cult.
So welcome to UNESCO, welcome to the House of Culture, welcome to the house that protects World Heritage around the world. Our program, World Heritage, was created over 45 years ago to protect the wonders of humanity. And as of today, we've been able to identify, list, and protect over 1,000 sites, 1,073 to be exact, as of 2017. Our program protects cultural heritage.